news. Today's news.
Immigration policy.
The Venezuelan refugee crisis is really unprecedented.
Finding consensus on speaker.
I think ultimately no one's close.
And an imprisoned Iranian activist gets the Nobel Peace Prize.
The jailed activist burned her hijab in a prison courtyard.
Good morning, I'm Cammie McCormick with a CBS World News Roundup. President Biden is defending his decision to allow construction to continue on 20 miles of the U.S.-Mexico border wall. Correspondent Weijia Jiang reports.
200,000 migrants crossed the southern border unlawfully last month, the highest level recorded this year. President Biden insists that's not why his administration is moving forward with building a border wall, a decision he says was made by Congress.
Well, money was appropriated for the border wall. I tried to get them to redirect that money. They didn't.
But Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas issued a notice stating there is presently an acute and immediate need to construct physical barriers. Mayorkas now claims that his earlier written statement was taken out of context.
Our policy remains as it was since day one. We are opposed to the construction of the wall.
In 2020, then candidate Biden made this campaign promise.
There will not be another foot of wall constructed on my administration.
The Biden administration has also announced it will begin deporting Venezuelans who entered the country illegally. That's a reversal of its former policy of not sending migrants back to that troubled country. Last month alone, 50,000 Venezuelans crossed the southern border. That's a record number and second only to Mexicans. Big job gains in September. The Labor Department says 366,000 positions were added, but that raises concerns about the Fed raising interest rates. Analyst Mark Hamrick of Bankrate.com.
Payrolls growth came in about twice the amount expected at 336,000. The unemployment rate remains at 3.8%, which is regarded as still historically low. The Federal Reserve looks at this and sees the job market remaining robust and will be eager to see the forthcoming data on inflation ahead of their scheduled announcement on interest rates November 1st.
So who will be the next House Speaker? Former President Donald Trump is weighing in, as Nicole Killian reports.
Trump at one point said he would even be willing to take the Speaker's job himself temporarily, but now he is endorsing House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan. He called Jordan a star, writing that he is strong on crime, borders, and Second Amendment. Jordan and Majority Leader Steve Scalise are vying for support and are holding calls with various factions of the GOP conference. Trump's endorsement now puts the Ukraine funding fight front and center since Jordan opposes it, while Scalise supports it.
There's been another deadly Russian missile strike in Ukraine. Today's attack killed a 10-year-old boy and injured 24 other people near Kharkiv. The attack comes a day after a strike killed 52 people in the same region. Ukraine, meanwhile, says it has downed 25 Russian drones launched against its territory overnight. This year's Nobel Peace Prize has been awarded to an Iranian activist fighting for the rights of women. Vicki Barker reports from the Foreign Desk.
Narges Mohammadi is currently where she has spent much of the past 2 decades, in a Tehran prison. The Nobel Committee noted
Her brave struggle has come with tremendous personal cost,
urging the authorities to free her to accept her award in person. That's unlikely. A semi-official Iranian news agency says Mohammadi won the prize for, quote, her actions against Iran's national security. Vicki Barker, CBS News, London.
At least 40 people have been killed in the Indian Himalayas after a glacial lake burst its banks and triggered flash floods this week. Rescuers are still searching for dozens of other people. The flooding came after torrential rains and an apparent avalanche. It's one of the worst disasters there in more than 50 years. A new study published in the journal Pediatrics finds a sharp rise in the number of firearms deaths among children. And that's not the only danger that's growing. Dr. Rebecca Mannix is one of the study's authors.
Firearm fatalities have gone up 87% in the last decade. Drug poisoning fatalities have gone up about 133%.
The death rate for children in car accidents fell by almost half during the same period. 4 minutes past the hour.
Well, that's today's news. Today's news. I didn't hear any good news, did you? I didn't think so. I guess it's all about perspective. The glass is half full. Well, as always, I'd like to thank you again for coming along with me on these Dash Cam News adventures. You know the drill. Peace, love,